Hi, hello everyone. Hello, English learners and English readers. Welcome to this live read along of Wuthering Heights from Emily Bronte. So every day in Litters Book Club, we read a chapter. Oh, hi, Joanna. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Um, is it correct, Joanna? Sorry about my. Hello, welcome to the live. Thank you for joining. And tell me a little bit about yourself. Correct. Okay, great. Tell me a little bit about yourself. So where are you from, and are you a teacher? An English teacher, or are you a student? Tell me, are you studying English, or do you just love English, um, learning English and English literature? I'm from Livorno. I discovered you recently. Are you? Oh my God. Are you English? And you live in Libourne. Amazing. Libourne, for those, uh, for everyone, it's a town near Bordeaux. It's about 30 kilometers from Bordeaux. I'm so happy to meet you. Okay, I'm so happy to meet you too. Amazing. We're not so far from each other, to be honest. Um, I live near Créon in La Sauve, in a little village called La Sauve. There is a beautiful abbey, and this is where I live. So I'm glad that you are nearby. Great. So you could be able to join the book club, the in person, the book club in person. I love that you do this. I saw that you're really close. Yes, I am. Yeah. I'm quite close. So I started I created this book club, this online book club first. And then I decided that maybe it could be a nice thing to meet people in person as well, to meet the members, to have members in person as well. So I decided to create this book club as well in the town of Créon, which is in the area of Bordeaux, France. And I decided to create this little book club so people from the local area could also have an opportunity to improve their English and practice their English through the reading of books. So, of course, you have to be someone that is a little bit interested in literature and someone that likes to read. Otherwise, it's not going to be the right place for you to learn English. I'm going to listen in, and yes, it would be great to come to the book club. We have an English book club in Libourne too. Do you? I didn't know about that. As a VIP. Invite, yes, absolutely. I'll be happy to join in as well. I know there is an association of Libourne and Keisham. It's a town in England, and maybe maybe it's with the association that you're doing this book club. I don't know. It's the Tweening Association with Libourne and Keisham. So maybe that's the one. I heard that there was a book club, but maybe it's a different one, maybe. That's the answer I'm in. Ah, yay. Okay, so we were talking about the same thing. Yeah, okay. Please, by all means, tell me, let me know whenever you host a book club, and I would love to join. And of course, you're gladly invited to my book club on not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, the 23rd of March. I'll be hosting my book club. Yes, definitely. Let's do that. Great. Amazing. Okay. So now let's go back to our book and about Wuthering Heights and our characters that we left yesterday in a very in a way we left our new characters because we are at the stage in the story where so it's a couple years. It's about, I'll let you carry on. Yeah, thank you. Otherwise, this live is gonna last for 2 hours or something. So let's get on with it and start reading. So we it's at the time where it's about 12 years. It's 12 years after Catherine's death. And the little Cathy, her daughter, that was born quickly, that was just born after just before Catherine died. And she is a beautiful and quiet little girl. So she's about 12 years old, and she grew up. She had a very nice, she's having a very nice life, a very quiet life. Hi, Kitty, welcome. How are you today? So I've just started doing a little recap of the story. So we're talking about little Cathy. She is 12 years old, and she had a very quiet, very nice and quiet life at Thrushcross Grange, and she's not aware. I'm good, thank you. I've just met someone that lives nearby, near my place, and this is the joy of internet and social media. So you have to take the good things of this new technology. So it was a very nice discovery and a great meeting that we just did through Instagram. So let's carry on. She is not aware of Wuthering Heights or the existence of Heathcliff. So I think that yeah, it was a real intention from Edgar Linton, her dad, and all the people living in the house, and Nelly, of course, very important character in this story, to preserve Cathy from her mother's story and relationship with Heathcliff, and in a way to keep her away from this violent and quite how to say, very negative presence of Heathcliff, and very difficult character that Heathcliff is. And that works until one day Cathy asks some questions about what's behind what's beyond the moor, and what's the world once you cross the the moor. What's behind? What's the world after this beautiful countryside, after the garden and the moor? So she starts to get a little bit curious about the world, and she starts to wanting to cross the garden, because she's never left the garden of Thrushcross Grange, or the limit of Thrushcross Grange, and now she wants to she starts thinking about what's out there, what else can life offer, and she starts to get a little bit more curious. I unexpectedly have to go, but I'm so pleased to have met you. I have a gorgeous weekend. You too have a lovely weekend, and thank you again for jumping in this live and meet you. It's a real pleasure, and I hope to see you in person very soon. Bye bye. So that's the beginning of the chapter, and then she on one day, Nelly can't find her anywhere, and she's not, and Cathy, she gets worried that Cathy is not back from her from playing in the garden. So, and she yeah, from playing in the garden with her pony, her pony. So she starts asking the servants and looking after her, and looking for her, and she finds out that she is at Wuthering Heights. And we learn in chapter 9, the chapter that we've read yesterday, that she followed her dog. I think it's there's something with the Charlie. Yeah, sometimes she walked with yes. And was it with the dog? Yes, at some point the dog, Charlie, Mr. Linton's dog, escapes, and he ends up at Wuthering Heights, where there is another dog, if I remember well. And they fight because there is no blood on the dog's face, and Cathy looks after the dog, and she ends up at Wuthering Heights, and there she meets Hareton. Hi, hello Etienne, welcome. How are you today? I hope you well. And I hope that you understand a little bit, that you understand the story. And okay. So she meets Hareton, and they going to have an interesting encounter here, because Cathy doesn't know that Hareton is in fact her cousin, but she treats him like a servant, or like someone that is beneath her. And she's being quite rude the way she dresses herself to Hareton, and Hareton is going to be vexed, and he's not gonna like the way she talks to him. how she talks down to him. And Nelly at this very moment is there, and she doesn't want to stay too long, because she's afraid that Heathcliff is going to come in and see them, and instantly he will know that Linton, his son, is at Thrushcross Grange or something. Yeah, I mean, Nelly doesn't want Cathy to stay much longer. She wants to hurry and leave Wuthering Heights before Heathcliff arrives. But yes, because at some point they hear that. Oh yes, because yes, I remember. I was getting a little bit lost because Hareton knows that Cathy here is her cousin. It actually reveals to her that he is her cousin, and because Cathy asks about the owner of the house. Your father owns it, doesn't he? No, he replied, and turned away. Are you? And then she asked, "Are you a servant? Then, if you are a servant, you should call me Miss." So straight away, Cathy starts to talk to, and that Hareton is not gonna like that, and he becomes very angry. And Miss Cathy Hareton, and this is where Nelly reveals to Cathy that Hareton is not her servant, but it is your cousin. It's her cousin, and she's confused and replies, "My cousin? You're not my cousin. My father has gone to get my cousin Linton." And Cathy reveals then that Linton is at Thrushcross Grange. And at that point, Nelly gets very worried because now Hareton knows that Linton is at Thrushcross Grange. That means that Heathcliff will know very soon that his son is at Thrushcross Grange, is here. So he's gonna ask for him. And this is exactly what happens at the end of the chapter, in which we have Joseph, Heathcliff's servant, farm worker, and farm worker. So Heathcliff sends Joseph to get his son, but Mr. Linton does not want to let Linton go away because he's a very weak child. He is not fit for the life at Wuthering Heights and the harsh way of Heathcliff behaving with people, and his son is not strong enough for the life at Wuthering Heights. So Linton asks Joseph to come back tomorrow, and saying that Linton is in bed and too tired to travel. So Joseph finally accepts to come back tomorrow. So otherwise, yes, he accepts to come back tomorrow, but if they don't give them the son tomorrow, Heathcliff will come. And that's not going to be the same story, or he's not going to accept to leave without the boy. So yeah, that was chapter 8. And we learn as well in this chapter that Isabella has died of illness. It doesn't say, Nelly doesn't really know exactly what's the exact, what happened exactly to Isabella, but that's the reason why they bring. Oh no, that was chapter 8, sorry. Isabella is no, I get confused. Where do we, is it chapter 9? Yeah, it's chapter 9 in which we learn that she's died. Yes. Yeah, in July, 12 years after leaving her husband, Isabella died. Although I do not know what her illness was. When he heard the news, Mr. Linton went away for 3 weeks. Yeah, he was devastated again about the loss of his daughter, his sister, and at that point he goes away to get the boy as well, and brings him back to Thrushcross Grange. Yes, so now let's read chapter 10 and what happens next. Now, let's see if Heathcliff is going to get his son back. A walk on the moor. Joseph came for Linton early the next morning, and Cathy was very sad and confused when she woke up to find her cousin was not there. I told her he had gone to live with another family who lived many miles away. And she lies again. After that, she sometimes asked questions about him, but then she slowly forgot him. 3 years passed until she was 16. Her birthday was not a happy day for her father because it was also the day of her mother's death. And he always spent it alone in the library. This meant Cathy was alone too. But this year, it was a beautiful March day, and Cathy came down dressed for a walk on the moor. Mr. Linton was happy for her to go with me, but we had to be back in an hour. Quickly, Nelly, Cathy said, as we left Thrushcross Grange. I want to see some birds in their nest. I know where they are. I put on my hat and followed her on to the moor. She ran in front of me, and her eyes were bright and happy as her gold hair lifted in the spring wind. In the spring wind. But she walked and walked until I became tired and shouted to her to stop. But she was far ahead of me and did not hear or did not want to hear. Then she turned a corner in the road and Wuthering Heights appeared. Suddenly, 2 people were standing next to her. One of them was Hareton and the other was Mr. Heathcliff. He was shouting at her. I haven't found or taken any birds, she was saying as I came up. I just wanted to see the nest. Father told me about it. Mr. Heathcliff gave me a strange smile, then turned back to her. And who is your father? He asked. Mr. Linton from Thrushcross Grant. And who are you? She replied. Then she pointed to Hareton. I've met this boy before. Is he your son? No, that man is not my son, answered Heathcliff, pushing me to one side. But I've got a son, and you've met him. Why don't you come to my house for a rest? He will be happy to see you. Hi, Ada! Welcome! I'm so happy you're able to join tonight. Welcome! How are you? Why don't you come to my house for a rest? He will be happy to see you. Do not say yes. Do not say yes, I whispered to her ear. You must not. Why not? Cathy asked loudly. I'm tired and I want to see his son. Does he live at the big house I visited when I went to Penistone Crags? He does. He does, replied Mr. Heathcliff. Now, be quiet, Nelly. It will be nice for her to come to Wuthering Heights and see my son. Hareton, take the girl with you. I will walk with Nelly. I argued with Mr. Heathcliff as we followed the pair towards the house, but he kept telling me to be quiet. Then he opened the door and invited Cathy in with a smile. Was he being kind to her because she was Catherine's daughter? Did she make him think of Catherine? I wasn't sure. Linton stood near the fire. He was still thin, but he had grown a bit taller and was now quite handsome. His eyes were brighter, and his face was not as pale as it had been when he arrived at Thrushcross Grant. But maybe he looked healthier because of the spring air. Me too, very happy to see you. You look so beautiful. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Linton, cried Cathy. Is it Linton? Is it taller than I am now? The boy moved forward and said hello. She kissed him excitedly, and they started and stared at each other in surprise because they had both changed a lot. After they had talked to each other for a few minutes, she turned to Heathcliff. You're my uncle, she said. I like you, although you were angry at the beginning. Why haven't you visited Thrushcross Grant with Linton? I came before, once or twice, and often before you were born, replied Mr. Heathcliff. But Mr. Linton does not like me. If you tell him about this visit, he will stop you coming here. We stayed all afternoon. I could not make Cathy leave sooner. She and Linton were laughing at Hareton because he could not read. But Hareton quickly grew angry and shouted back at them. Finally, she agreed to come with me if she could visit Linton next day. But as soon as we got home, she told her father about her meeting with Linton and Mr. Heathcliff. Mr. Linton was very unhappy. You must not go there again, he said. Mr. Heathcliff is an awful man. But he was nice with me, father. Why did Nelly tell me that Linton lived many miles away? Because we didn't want you to visit Wuthering Heights, Cathy, Mr. Linton replied. Mr. Heathcliff hates me, and he was very unkind to your aunt, Isabella. This is why I didn't want you to visit Linton, because I did not want you to see Mr. Heathcliff. When you're older, you will understand everything. Cathy was quiet after that, but in the evening, I found her in her room. She was on her knees and she was crying. Oh, Nelly, I'm not crying for myself. I'm crying for Linton, she said. He thinks that I am coming to see him tomorrow, and he will be very unhappy. Don't be stupid, I said. He has Hareton as a friend. He does not need you. But please, can I write him a small note to explain? No, you can't. Please, Nelly. And she gave me a very sweet look. But I said no again and left her. But some weeks later, I was cleaning her bedroom and I found a lot of letters. She and Linton were writing words of love to each other. Daily, I immediately threw the letters in the fire and sent a note to Wuthering Heights. Linton Heathcliff must not send any more letters to Miss Cathy. Later, Cathy told me that a boy from the village had taken the notes to Wuthering Heights for her. She was very angry at me and sad, of course, but after I sent my notes, the letters stopped. Autumn came. Dry, red leaves lay on the ground, and clouds covered the cold blue sky. Mr. Linton and Cathy went until late evening. I realized I forgot to show you the beautiful illustration here when you've got Cathy meeting Linton here, and you've got Heathcliff at the back here, and here is Hareton. So these two like very much each other and writing love letters. But so the letters stopped. Autumn came, dry. Red leaves lay on the ground, and clouds covered the cold blue sky. Mr. Linton and Cathy went for long walks on the fields, and often did not come home until late evening. Then, so you can see the similarities here between Catherine and Heathcliff having long walks on the moor, and now you can see the story repeating itself when you've got Cathy and Mr. Linton having long walks as well on the moor. Then Mr. Linton and Cathy went for long walks in the fields and often did not come home until late evening. Then Mr. Linton was ill and he had to stay in bed. Cathy had become quieter and sadder after the letters to Linton stopped. And now she was lonely without her father. I tried to be with her as much as possible, but then I was also ill for a short time. I had to stay in bed too, and Cathy was wonderful. She came back and forward from Mr. Linton's room to mine and shared her time between us. But Mr. Linton usually went to bed early, and I did not need much after 6 p.m., so I did not know what she did with her evenings. One evening, after 3 weeks in bed, I was finally able to leave my bedroom. I was walking around the house, which seemed strangely quiet, when Cathy suddenly climbed in through one of the windows in the sitting room. In the garden, I could see a boy walking away with her pony. Miss Cathy, I cried, where have you been? Just around the gardens, she replied, but her face went very red. Oh, Cathy, I said, please don't lie to me. She began to cry then, and she put her arms around my neck. Oh, Nelly, please don't be angry. I have been to Wuthering Heights. Mr. Heathcliff came here when you were ill. Linton is so unhappy. He is lonely without you, he said. I've been to see him every day since you became ill. I've not been happy about it. Wuthering Heights is so cold in the autumn weather, and we have only had 3 or 4 happy days together there. But Linton is not well, and he's so happy when I visit. Sometimes I think he will die. Linton can sometimes be a spoiled little boy, but his father shouts at him and says horrible things about his weak body. And Hareton is stupid and cannot read. She's quite tough on Hareton, poor thing. Hush, I said. Hareton is your cousin as much as Linton. You must not speak about him like that. Please don't stop me going to Wuthering Heights, Nelly. I know that Linton is a weak and sad boy, but if I don't go, he will be so unhappy. Please don't tell father. I will think about that, Miss Cathy. Now go to bed. But I went straight from my bedroom to her father's and told him everything. Mr. Linton was very worried, and the next morning he told her that she had to stop visiting her cousin. Cathy cried and asked him again and again to think about Linton. Winter passed and spring came, but Mr. Linton's health did not get better. Cathy continued to worry about her cousin Linton. So don't get confused with Mr. Linton and Linton, the cousin. Cathy continued to worry about her cousin Linton, and finally, Mr. Linton, her dad, wrote to invite him to Thrushcross Grange. A few days later, he got a reply. Mr. Heathcliff did not want Linton to visit Thrushcross Grange, but he was happy if he and Miss Cathy met on the moor. Mr. Linton was, of course, too ill to go with Cathy. You can write to Linton again, he said, and perhaps in the summer I will allow you to meet him again. And that's the end of chapter 9. And we will read chapter 11. We'll continue next week with chapter 11, which is about a terrible wedding. But what wedding? Who is she going to marry? Is it Linton or Hareton? That's the question. So let me know about your thoughts on this chapter. Quite a long chapter, I have to say. Quite a long chapter. A lot of illness again. A lot of people. So Mr. Linton is becoming ill. Sorry, and Linton, as we know, is already ill and a weak boy, a weak child. And in the middle, you've got Cathy, who is trying to take care of everyone, and Nelly getting sick as well, but she recovers quicker than Mr. Linton. And Cathy, who is trying to look after everyone and falls in love with Linton, and vice versa as well, and it's reciprocal with Linton as well. They love they fall in love, both. And again, you have Mr. Linton, who is forbidding Cathy to write any more letters to Linton, because it doesn't want her to be in touch with him or have any more relationship with him. But it doesn't really work because Cathy is just a strong-minded person, and she continues to find ways to see Linton by visiting him as soon as she's able to have some time for herself. She goes to Wuthering Heights. And hi, D-Man, welcome. I've just finished reading chapter 10. So now we're just reflecting on this chapter. I don't know I think you told me you already had the copy. So it's the moment, it's in which we're talking here about Cathy, Linton, and Hareton, so the children of all the characters that we know. So Cathy, Catherine's daughter, is now 12 years old, and Hareton is a little bit older than her. And we've got Linton, Heathcliff and Isabella's child, who is a little bit younger than Catherine, and they both fall in love. But Catherine lives at Thrushcross Grange, and Linton has been taken back by Heathcliff, his dad. And when Mr. Linton learns about their correspondence, he stops. He forbids her to send any more letters to him. So they are both heartbroken about that, and but Cathy manages to find ways to keep seeing Linton. Although Linton is not a very strong boy, as Hareton is, but Cathy doesn't like Hareton, because he is stupid, as she says. I quote the text. She finds him stupid and he cannot read. So for her, he's not an interesting person. He's not an interesting boy. So she gets very judgmental towards Hareton, and Nelly tries to bring some sense to her. Yeah. And asks her to be more kind with Hareton. But she doesn't listen, and she keeps on caring only about Linton and looking after. Yeah, Hareton is so poor. Yes. Hareton is doesn't have much luck with him because, well, he's got the advantage of being a boy that is he's got a good health. He's not sick like Linton, because he's able to work in the farm and he's working hard. But the thing is, he's without parents. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yes, he's an orphan, basically. So you see um how stories here are very very well, that how the story mirrors of these new characters, how Emily very cleverly mirrored the lives of the parents, and without education. Yes, that's exactly it. He's an orphan, and he is under the care, and under the, not really the care, because can we use this word with Heathcliff? I mean, Heathcliff is happy because he's a good worker, is a good farm worker. But on the other hand, he doesn't give him an education and love, in a way, because he um is basically his nephew, even though they don't have any blood, they don't share the same blood at all. But he grew up all his life. Heathcliff grew up all his life with with his dad, and they were kind of, they could have been brothers, but yeah, it's a very complex situation with Heathcliff and Hindley. But yeah, he doesn't give him the chances to be educated. Yeah. Knowing that Heathcliff is rich, he's a rich man, so it's not like he couldn't afford an education for Hareton. Yes, that's right. Now, is Hareton in the same position as Mr. Heathcliff was when he was young? Yeah. Yes. It's interesting how have a nice evening. You too, Ada. Have a beautiful evening, and see you next time. Yes, it's interesting how Hareton reflects the similar life that Heathcliff had when he was young. Yeah, not very educated, being an orphan as well. So you can see how quickly you can fall down. You know, your parents, you supposed to I mean, Hindley was a rich man, owner of a big house, and how he lost all his money, and how his descendants lose everything in a way. I mean, consequently, his son is becoming poor while he shouldn't have. He should be the owner of, actually, he should be the owner of Wuthering Heights, but he's not, and it's Heathcliff. So you can see how, and on the other end, you've got Heathcliff, who has who's gone from nothing to be a gentleman, rich, and then owning a house and be a landlord, becoming a gentleman and a landlord. So you can see how rapidly you can change the course of your social status and status, sorry, social rank in society at the time, especially that the average life expectancy at the time was actually 25 point, I've got my notes from actually my course on Wuthering Heights. And if I remember, yeah, 25.8 years old. The average life expectancy in the 19th century in England. Or not England, but in Yorkshire, in that part of England. So, which is very low, as you can imagine. We would already be dead. So yes, not very much not very good health care system, and also the sanitary system were not good at the time. So a lot of disease were circulating because of the water as well, the contamination of the water. So yeah, that also was an important factor. And we are super old now. Yes. Yes, we wouldn't be alive in the 19th century England. Yeah. So that was it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this live reading. And as I mentioned yesterday, Cathy, so no book club, no live meetup, virtual meetup on this Saturday, but we will definitely next Saturday, we will meet and discuss the end of the book and the final chapters. So next week will be the last week of the live reading of Wuthering Heights. And I will also announce the new live read along for April, so that you will get the time to get the book or order the book and read with us as well. Thank you so much for these beautiful moments. Thank you so much for saying that, AD Man. Thank you. And I hope to see you on Monday. So I'll see you on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend and happy readings. Bye bye.